on NBC Sports Philadelphia Sixers pre- and post-game live. Analyst Marc Jackson broke it all down, and we'll break down the first 55 games of this season. Mark, as the Sixers hit the All-Star break, 5 games over 500 in the 7th seed in the East. But really last night, that's the kind of win that you can look at and say, I can take this team serious because they win a game when you're down without Joel Embiid.
Oh, I agree with you 100%, man. It was such an impactful win. I'm going to use the word impactful because it really was just on what they were able to do. You know, they were down. First of all, they played horrible. They played like crap the first half. Let's just be honest. They'll tell you that. But then second half, they just found some energy. A lot of it came from Bellinelli, too, but so many people had so much to do with that win last night. That was a great momentum changer.
Yeah, and you mentioned Bellinelli. He had 17 last night, hit a couple of big threes. When they make the move and then you see him implement it, how much do you think he'll add to this team? And how much does adding him make you take them even more serious?
You got to take them more serious because if you look at their rotation player, their second 5 unit, you have Rashawn Holmes or Amir Johnson, whichever one Coach Phil gives him good at the backup spot. You have you got T.J. McConnell. You had Billis, or you had TLC, Justin Anderson. You had the power forward from you got the trade from the Nets.
Booker.
So they needed scoring. They had rebounding. They had defensive guys. They needed somebody to give them some scoring, some buckets, and that was something I truly felt as though Marco Fultz came in the lineup. If he had came in, he could really impact them as a whole because their first unit plays so good together. Their second unit, if they had somebody that can actually score buckets, then they can have one of the best backup units in the league. So now that unfortunately, Fultz is not in the uniform, but they bring Bellinelli, who's a scorer. A lot of people forget he's not just a shooter. He is a scorer, too, so he can get you buckets. He draws attention, which in terms make people like TJ, make people like Holmes, make Booker, make those guys get easy buckets because people are paying attention and focusing on somebody, so it gives the second unit guys an easier opportunity to score.
Now, Mark, I know you're a Holmes guy. I mean, Bellinelli, Holmes, Booker, T.J. McConnell, they had 39 points against the Heat, by the way, and it's not just that they had a good night, it's kind of the way they went about it. Holmes was above the rim. Do you like Amir or Holmes? Because let's talk about those guys. Is Holmes out of Brett Brown's doghouse? He gave him a big lift last night.
No, I don't think so. I think when Joel comes back after the All-Star break, I still think he'll bring Amir off the bench consistently. I think Coach Brown feels comfortable with that veteran Amir Johnson defensively because he's been asked several times. And I think something that's really telling to me is Coach Brown has said, hey, look, guys, I think one gives us great offense and one gives us great defense. And the defense he's referring to is Amir Johnson. But I really think Holmes does so much for you on both ends of the floor. Amir gets a lot of garbage buckets. He gets offensive rebounds, yes, but I think Holmes gives you rebounding. He gives you defensive, not just low post defense. He can actually guard on the switch some of these perimeter guys for a split second or two to give you a breather. And number one thing, I think he's more active around the rim. And I think when Joel's not in a game, you need that.
It's the NBA, and offense is exciting, but defense wins basketball games, right? They held Miami. They had 62 points in the first half. They only had 40 in the second half. Can they continue, especially without Joel Embiid, can they continue that sustained defensive effort?
Well, let's hope there's not a whole many more nights without Joel Embiid.
That's true.
Exactly. You know what? I truly believe this, greatly, gentlemen, that once teams have a book on you, you're easier to play against. So with that being said, Joel Embiid, when teams come in night and night, they don't know if Joel Embiid is playing or if he's not playing. So when they prepare, they always prepare for Joel Embiid. But if team has a head start, an advance notice, 2 or 3 days notice that Joel is not going to play in their game, then they will prepare a little differently, and then make the game more difficult for the Sixers to win. So it's a mixture of the Sixers playing well when Joel is not in the lineup, but also the teams are not really prepared to play against a team without Joel. So that's how the Sixers are able to get these wins when sometimes they shouldn't get them, to be honest. So, but this team gives them something on a random basis when Joel has to sit out that helps them win. But I would not think if Joel's not in lineup for a long period of time, they could sustain that. No disrespect, I just feel as though they can't sustain that if Joel's not in the lineup often.
How about the rebounding last night, Mark? Especially without Joel in the lineup, they out-rebounded him 60-29.
That was impressive. That was impressive. It was impressive to see Holmes all over the place, Dario plays. Booker was a madman possessed. You know, it was incredible. Even though when he got that time, he got that foul where he ran out of ball and he didn't get it. Other guy grabbed it. He just tackled the Miami Heat player because his momentum was just so strong and pushed him that way. He just couldn't help it. I thought that was good. You know, Booker, to me, has been such a pick-up for this team. I really believe he's been a pick-up. And then you bring in Bellinelli, man. I just really think Brett Brown said it best. You got to give Colangelo a lot of credit for these pickups. You know, this pickup of Booker for Bellinelli, they have firepower.
What did you think?
That is something you cannot say years ago.
What did you think when Bellinelli said afterwards that, you know, he'd been in Charlotte, he'd been in Atlanta, he'd been in some places where, quite frankly, he was surrounded by teammates that maybe didn't really care if they won or lost, and he wanted to come to a team that wanted to win. I mean, we give credit to Colangelo, but also to a hungry player that wanted to come to the Sixers. That a couple of years ago when they were winning 10 games, no player wanted to come to Philadelphia.
None at all. And that just gives you kudos. And a lot of people, a lot of teams are playing for them, wanting to come also because of Brett Brown. They really have faith in Brett Brown. Brett Brown, to me, has become a player's coach. He because players, we had the conversation last night, do we think Brett Brown in his NBA head coach career can never get to 500? We like, man, he got to stick around for a lot of years to get to 500. And can you imagine a coach being that far under 500, having the respect of other players, of other coaches in the league that respect him as a person and as a coach? It really says a lot about him.
I want to kind of piggyback off that. Marc Jackson's with us, NBC Philadelphia Sixers pre- and post-game. A lot of people, there's nights when the Sixers cough up one of those leads, and I'll get the timeline filled with coach needs to be fired, coach stinks, coach doesn't know what he's doing, how do they keep losing these leads? How much, when you look at this team 30-25, are they not as good as they should be, better than they should be? I mean, what kind of job do you think he has done as the actual coach? Because you just said that you really have to give him credit for being able to draw some guys here. J.J. Redick talked about it when he signed here. I'm sure Bellinelli, he had some impact in getting him to come here. So how about Brett Brown, the X and O guy?
You know, he's going to take the brunt of the credit. Like they say, coaches will tell you quick, players win game, coaches lose them, no matter who's in your roster. So he'll even tell you that, Brett Brown is saying. But I really believe that, first of all, we're Philly fans. You know, so if a lot of these losses have to come to them not having a stable health in the lineup. When Joel is out, when is JJ out, I think for this team to really be clicking on all the cylinders, they need everyone healthy. Because this is not a team that's filled with Golden State 4 All-Stars. This is not a team that has 3 superstars like Minnesota. They may have two as of now, but they don't have 3 like Minnesota or some other teams or OKC. So they need everybody to really be in the lineup, to be healthy, to be on all cylinders. You know, and when they're not, they have to manufacture wins. I think that's the word. Manufacture wins. And I think that's something to keep an eye on that they have to do.
How about Ben Simmons?
Brett Brown, sorry, to answer your question, so Brett Brown's going to get the heat of the blunt when they lose, but when they win, it's all going to go to Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons.
Yeah, and since you brought up Ben Simmons there, Mark, that's where I was going next. Brett Brown didn't even realize that he had the triple-double until he was walking out to talk to the media afterwards. But 18, 10, and 12 in a close game like that, that's pretty impressive. That's
really impressive. My thing is with Ben is he needs to continue to do it. You know, so then next game he might have 11, 4, and 5. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it'd be great. And I really think he can put those same numbers up when Joel's in the game. I don't think, he put almost triple-double because Joel is not there. No, that's not true. I really believe he's capable of putting those same numbers up when Joel is not in. I mean, when it's in a lineup or not in lineup. So I think he has to kind of find what it is that gets him to play that way on night in and night out. A lot of that has to do with also he's a rookie, he's young, and this up and down era is going to come with youngness, and as he matures, so will his game.
Mike and I talked, and at one point we talked on this program about Ben Simmons and a hesitancy to shoot or how long his range is, and I heard you speak last night about the areas of his game that he could still develop.
Oh, yeah. You know, he will keep developing because we all know he wants to. He needs to work on the shot, and he knows he needs to work on the shot. But I really truly believe that it's something that is hard to do in season. And here's I scratch my head about this. He had all last year. And he didn't become a better shooter than he was in college. Mm-hmm. And I scratched my head on that. So I'm hoping that now when he's seeing the early young success he's having, maybe this off season he goes to the drawing board. All right, let me develop a jumper. Let me get better. You know, let me find this out. But now let's go back though. Let's say if Ben finishes this season averages 16 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. Those are still impeccable numbers for an NBA starter. But if I'm him, I want more. If I'm Brett Brown, I want more. What do he need to develop his game more? 2 things. He needs to be have some range. He don't necessarily have to shoot the 3.
This is Dino Con.
I don't think he needs to shoot the 3, but if he can hit the mid-range, that's great. And secondly, it's still some plays that he gets around that basket and he does not finish the ball. And that's surprising me given his stature of his size.
One guy that you and I have talked a little bit about earlier in the year, and we're not sure how he was fitting, is Dario. Well, he is fitting in much better now. It seems that he is much more fluid in his role with this team, and he's becoming a much better shooter. And they kind of just stuck with him. They didn't tweak him. They just said, look, we're just going to keep riding you in this spot. And he has answered the call.
Yes, he did. But now, remember what I told you early in the year. I did not like the way he was playing because he was just standing on the three-point line, just being a spot-up stretch 4. And I told you then, and I would tell you now, that is not his game. Super Dario is a basketball player. Put the ball in his hands, and he will create. If he's open for the 3, he will knock that down. And as of now, if you come running, he will put the ball on the floor and go around you. If you have a smaller defender on you, he's going to put you in a post. If it's opportunities to get in and get an offense rebound, he's going to do that. He's going to draw a double team and find the open man. He is a basketball player. He's a complete player. He is a basketball player. So I like now, so the reason what changed is he wasn't just standing out there trying to be a three-point shooter. Now he's saying, you know what, Ben, you got the ball, but listen, I need the ball too. I'm going to find a way to get mine and to do what I do. And that's why he's had success. And if you look at it, he's been a constant, consistent player for them the last 20 games.
I'm talking with Marc Jackson here. Sixers at the break, 30-25, 7 seed in the East. Mark, their schedule lightens up. I'm sure you guys have taken a look at it. I mean, they got 27 games left. They might be a favorite in 20 of the 27. I know they got Cleveland a couple times. They got Minnesota in there, but not. I mean, most of that schedule is filled with Charlotte, Atlanta, Orlando, Chicago. A lot of guys that are not in the playoff mix right now. So, how high up the playoff charts do you think this team can go?
I said 5. I said 5 in the first game of regular season. If Rocco could play 1% better than he did last year, he was a 5. But that was also including Marco Fultz in lineup. So with him not in the lineup, we have to. I don't know if we can beat the 5, but I do know with Bellinelli, I still think they'll definitely move up from the 7 seed. I truly believe, can he push for 5? Yes, but I think when it's all said and done, they end up being a 6 seed.
That would be interesting to see, if they can build off of this first half where they lost some games against the Suns and the Bulls, and they seemingly have learned how to close out some of these games better. You know what I mean? They seem like They are not coughing up these big leads as much anymore, and when they do, you're getting back in the game, but they're not letting you take over.
Yeah, because the game's about runs. They know the other team is going to make runs. You have to kind of weather that storm and then you have to make a little run of your own.
Here's a question for you, Mark. If everybody knows in the NBA that the other team's going to make a run, how come the other team, the team with the lead, can't figure out a way to stop them from making that run?
That's the thing. Adjustments are made, and coaches can't figure it out. And there's always been a question mark of why is that the case. And you know what, to be honest, though, a lot of that has to do with your bench. A lot of that has to do with your rotation players. What kind of system you're running, how good of a player they are, and how do they step in. Are they one-side player balls, which means are they only offensive threats, or are they only deep? Like the Sixers' second unit until Bellinelli was pretty much only a defensive unit. They couldn't score the ball. Let's be honest, they could not score the ball on a consistent clip. So they even though we see teams make runs, but it's not as much as they would make if they didn't have that good defensive unit in. So now they had a score that kind of negates that runs that the other team's going to make.
All right, Marc Jackson, NBC Philadelphia Sixers pre- and post-game. Mark, so much about Markelle Fultz the last week. You know, somebody's message shot up. Is he shooting? Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? I mean, we've all seen the videos. We've heard the stories. What are we supposed to believe about this kid at this point?
I'm going to be honest. It's a head-scratcher for me, guys. It's really a head-scratcher for me because – and I never thought about this, and this is an interesting conversation I had with somebody at the supermarket. Somebody just said, "Hey, Mr. Jackson, I like you on TV." I said, "Oh, thank you." He said, "Man, it's a shame about folks." I said, "Yeah, man, wish he could play." He was like, "Well, let me ask you a question." And this is after Coach Brett Brown made the statement like, well, what they said, what he has to do to play? Well, he got to be able to shoot the ball. And they said, "Where's he shooting?" He's only can shoot as far as the paint. And he said, in order for him to play for us, he has to be able to hit a shot. So I just thought about that, just took it here and just kind of went over my head and didn't think none of it. And to a stranger in the supermarket said, "But let me ask you a question, Mark. Ben Simmons don't shoot outside the paint. Rondo, when he was with Boston, didn't shoot many shots out the paint. So why is Brett Brown putting a onus on this one particular kid has to be to shoot outside the paint?" And I never thought about it until that stranger said that to me. I'm like, you know what? You got a legitimate point.
Yeah.
And I'm scratching, and it makes me scratch my head even more.
Well, when you see videos of this kid, I mean, he looks like he belongs in the dunk contest.
Yeah, he's impressive. He's an impressive specimen. He's impressive with his one-on-one moves. Let me ask you a question. Now that stranger made that statement, how many times did TJ shoot outside the paint?
Right.
You know, so that excuse can't work no more. Oh, he got me to shoot. Oh, really? Ben Simmons, TJ. Maybe you're stating that for your system to play with the players you currently have on your roster, he has to be able to shoot out the paint. But, you know, maybe say that. Say for him to fit into our system with our unit, he has to be able to hit jumpers. But don't say he got to be able to hit a jump shot outside the paint because we got two players who are big-time players for us that don't shoot outside the paint.
Right. Now, yesterday, Tim Legler was on with us, and he said there's no way that the shot that he currently has is from someone actively trying to change his mechanics. So when you watch him, do you deem that he is still injured or that there's something mentally blocking him?
I really believe that. This is now, Timmy, so Legs made a great point. That young man in Markelle Fultz was a three-way scorer. He can hit the three, he was at mid-range, and he could finish around the rim. And then within 2 months, you mean to tell me somebody said, you know what, let's change the shot? No. What I envision, and to me is the only answer, is he developed some kind of pain in his shoulder. So instead of him coming out and saying, man, I'm hurt, I need to get checked out, he tried to fight through it in his workouts, and it made it worse. So then he started trying to switch his form to try to get over the pain, and it's made everything, it has snowballed from there. But I agree with Legs. There's no way anyone changed his shot for just to say the sake of changing it. He had to have been hurt, and then they tried to change his shot to kind of get away from that. But I really think that's the only way, because if you're that good of a shooter off the three-point line, the mid-range game around the rim in high school and college, there's no reason in the world you're going to change your shot.
Right.
It wasn't like he had bad mechanics.
Oh, and you saw him
couldn't shoot the ball. Now, if that was Ben Simmons, we could say, okay, Ben, change the shot. But no, Markel Fultz didn't need to change shot. So no, that is not the claimer of somebody tried to change shot. That's why he shoots like that. No, he developed pain for whatever reason, and that's why he shoots it the way he does now.
And you saw him in Summer League. You saw him in the preseason. He didn't have this hitch in his shot, and it seems that hitch is really at the free throw line more than anywhere else.
That's true, but you know what? No, I don't. I've heard the word "ips" being used.
Yeah.
No, it truly was. He wasn't shooting. If you think about it, if you go back and watch some of the Summer League or think about the games, not Summer League, the preseason, he wasn't shooting that many jumpers in preseason either. I think it got worse towards the end of Summer League, and then in preseason, they was rehabbing him, massaging him, trying to get him play through it. But I think it kept snowballing, getting worse and worse and worse. I really believe he started to come to him in the Summer League. If you go back and watch the Summer League games, you'll see the last couple of games before he sat, he wasn't shooting the jump three-pointer shot like he was the first game of Summer League.
You know, Mark, sometimes they say, do you hear voices? How many voices are in this kid's ear, and are there too many? And is he struggling just with which one he should listen to?
No, I don't think that's the case, and I heard that. Now, I'm going to go on the record here, and I hope this won't get me in trouble. I really think the Sixers are not doing Markel Fultz justice, and let me tell you why. As far as the sitting, he's not hurting, he's hurting, we don't know which one, that's fine. But for you to say, oh, this kid can't play till he make a jump shot, you're throwing him under the bus because he sees his teammates who can't shoot the ball playing big minutes. So then you calling me out saying I can't shoot it?
Right.
So I really think, I truly believe this, and I hope I don't get fired for this, but I truly believe that they're burning bridges with the relationship with Markel Fultz. So when he eventually does get over this, he'll never forget what was said from the front office about him as a player. Because when you hurt, you're already isolated because you're injured. You're already not with your comrades because you're injured. Then you have the coach and the head boss pretty much talking bad about you or talking down on you. Then that kind of sits, so it makes it worse mentally. So then when he finally gets over this, he's not going to ever forget what was said about him from the Sixers coach and from the front office. And it will affect their relationship. It will. Brett Brown has a great relationship with Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and we can all say, oh, he's just a player, I'm just going to coach him. That's fine and dandy. But when it's superstars, every coach in the NBA has a relationship with their superstar player. Everyone.
Yeah.
So if he develops into a superstar, when it's time for him to get this re-signed, it may be some issues. Because he's not going to forget it.
Yeah, and Legler said yesterday this has gotten to a level that even the Sixers didn't anticipate. And it's almost like the Sixers seem like they're saying, look, these videos say he's healthy. If he told us he could play, he'd be out there. But he's cleared, and yet he's still not out there. So you've put the pieces together.
Exactly. They're making it a big puzzle.
Bizarre.
And I just don't like it. I just think it's a good look for him as a player. Your first thing as Colangelo should be about the team, but secondly, if you really want to be honest, just be about the player, because the player is what helps the team. And they're important to his mental development, and I don't think they're helping. I don't.
He's Marc Jackson, a 13-year pro, and now a part of NBC Philadelphia Sixers pre- and post-game coverage. You can also see him call some college games for the CBS Sports Network. He's at Jacko2544 on Twitter, and always kind enough to talk some hoops with us here. Thanks, pal.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.